I want to talk a little bit about MDI applications. Your Lab 5 requires you to build your final iteration of the piecework application to include a MDI parent form and some MDI child forms. So let's take a look at MDI. And some of you may be familiar with this. This might be new for many of you. These concepts are all covered in chapter 24 of the text. What we're used to. The typical applications that you've been developing the last couple of years with C# and VB have likely been of the SDI application or SDI interface sort, where you have all of these varying windows that can be open on your desktop, just running sort of independently of one another, and you kind of shuffle through them almost like papers on a desk, single documents on a desk, trying to find the form that you should be dealing with. More typical Windows environment is what's called the multi-document or multiple document interface, or MDI. This is what Excel, Word, and all of your productivity software all runs under, is that parent window, that one container window with all of these multiple documents inside that window. And here you can see 4 different forms open. They're all open within this container, and there's a few other forms that have been minimized down to just above the status bar of this container as well. When we're talking about MDI, we're talking about a way to arrange your application for the user so that when it's running, there's this simple sort of organized interface, and you won't find forms going lost, let's say, on your desktop. There are some things to keep in mind in terms of MDI and SDI. It's not all or nothing. You can actually have an MDI application that still has one or more SDI forms, and one of the requirements of your Lab 5 is that your summary form will continue to be a modal SDI form. So you're going to call that from within the parent form document window, but it's going to be a single document or designed under a single document interface. MDI always has a single parent form, that main window, and then there can be any number of child forms. Ultimately, what you get, just like you get with any productivity software and the Office software, those child windows, those document windows, are all bound by the outside frame of the parent window, the MDI parent. You can have multiple children open at the same time, and of course there's a number of different window controls that you can invoke when using an MDI parent so that you can actually arrange those open windows, tile vertical, tile horizontal, cascade, that sort of thing. And that, of course, is also a requirement of Lab 5, and all also covered in Chapter 24. It's pretty straightforward to create an MDI parent form. All you have to do is find that is MDI container property on the form that's going to be your parent and set it to true. There are some limitations for MDI parent forms. They do not allow for a great variety of different controls to the form. They are specifically intended to be containers of child forms. The controls that you're going to implement on an MDI container or MDI parent are things like menu bars, toolbars, status bars, or context menus, those sorts of things. To create an MDI child, we're going to take a look at how you're going to do that in code at runtime. There's a couple of things to keep in mind while we're doing this, working in this MDI environment. You give the user all these different options, either buttons or menu items, to access, say, the summary form, or to access the payroll form or piecework form in your case. You don't want to end up creating all of these different event handlers that all basically do the same thing. Keeping your code as efficient and effective as possible. In this case, I've got a exit click procedure. It's based on the menu file exit item, the menu item, and of course you can see the full parent-child naming convention for menu items. This event handler not only handles the click event on menu file exit, it also handles the click event on menu context exit and menu toolbar button exit, and it's simply a me.close. Why would you need 3 procedures or event handlers that all basically do the same thing? We'll just add handlers by separating them with commas at the end of the one procedure. So I want to take a quick look at an MDI parent. Here's your typical parent. It is a container. It has this different sort of dark gray look to it because it is really just a frame. And I've loaded this thing up with all sorts of different controls. There's a menu bar up here, tool button bar here. I've also got this status bar at the bottom, and I've included a date label and a time label. There's also a message label hidden in between there. And all of these things are all components that sit in the component tray. The one that you can't see right off without clicking on the component is the context menu. Getting back to that handler that handles multiple instances of an exit or a call to exit, there's my file exit. That's the MNU file exit command. There's my context menu. There's my context menu strip and the exit. And then I've also got this toolbar button here that is the exit button. All three of those things effectively do the same thing, but we write one handler for all of them. I've got a timer on here as well. So again, to create a MDI parent form, you just start with a Windows form. Go to this property, is MDI container. You set it to true, and you now have an MDI parent form. In the next video, we're going to take a look at something called the singleton design pattern.